What's going on, everybody? I am back with another episode of Useful Plugins. This is episode number 3. And today's plugin is the Pro C2 by Fabfilter. I heard a lot about this plugin and I tried it out. It's a really good plugin. It's a really good plugin. But more so when I'm mixing, sometimes I like more plugins that add more color, and this one's very transparent, which isn't a bad thing. But my preference is to use something that's more colorful. And so I tried it out a few times, and I said, well, when I want to go for something transparent, I can reach for it and use it. And it wasn't until I really started getting into this plugin and I saw another engineer do this, and it changed everything for me. I put it on my mix bus. It's in my mixing template. It's one of the first plugins that all my music goes through, because I found this to be very, very useful for it as more like a master bus compressor, because of this sidechain section here. It's here, you click it down and there's a drop down that comes down, and there's a lot of controls here, and I want to go through it. I'll go through as quickly as I can without trying to like doing a plugin tutorial. And here we have the end. This is the side chain. This determines if your source, if this compressor is going to be reacting to another track, and which would be an external, and then you have to set it up here. But in that case, we don't need it. It's internal. What's running through it on the mix bus is what we want to affect. We want to affect everything. And so this is how I have this set up. The sidechain level, I didn't touch this. I have the same. I have it on the default. So here on the stereo link, as you can, hopefully you're able to see this. When I'm hovering over it, it says stereo link, and then it says 100%, 99% mid only. And that's what we want to get into. This determines the frequencies that are being affected in the mid range. And so I'll play this and you'll graphically see what parts of the frequency range are being affected.
Se non esco, quindi lascio il telefono immobile e fa che non guido, forse meglio, quindi lascio le chiavi nel cofano e perdo 2 chili e li riprendo. Se mi parlo non mi riconosco, quindi non parlo, forse meglio.
And as you saw, kick and the 808 lives down here too. It wasn't on that section, but the 808 and the kick lives down here, of course. And I didn't want to compress the low frequencies in the mid channel. I didn't want to do that, nor did I want to affect the very high end of the record. So what I did was I took this band and swept it down to where I felt I wanted to affect it. And let's kind of put this back around there. And this is the mid that I didn't really want to affect as much either, because this is kind of where the meat of, that's wasn't the meat, but the intelligibility of the vocal lives, and it's still reacting to it, but it's less sensitive. Now, if I were to do this, it would really be sensitive to this frequency range. And I wanted it to just be a little bit less sensitive and less reactive to it, but reactive to it. And I have my low cut filter here set around 480. And if there was for a different song, I'll probably adjust it. Maybe a lot of the time, this filter works for at least a lot of records for the songs that I mix. It works very well. And so I would pretty much leave this alone. And that's approximately where it was. But it allows me to compress that certain frequency range of the mids over the entire record. So I'm doing a little bit of mid-side processing, because as I'm compressing the mid channel, it allows more pronunciation of the side information. And what it does is it controls more of the mid range overall, and then I can make decisions from there. And I'm going to play this, and I want you to look here as well, and I want you to look to see how much reduction we're actually getting on the song.
Se non esco, quindi lascio il telefono immobile, fai che non guidi, forse è meglio. Quindi lascio le chiavi nel cofano e perdo 2 chili e li riprendo. Se mi parlo non mi ricordo.
It's not too much. It's between 3.5 dB. But that 3.5 dB makes a big difference to the overall sound. It gets you, it allows you to be in a good starting place when you're mixing. And so you don't have to do as much processing on the individual tracks. And I prefer not to do that if I don't have to. And this concept and this technique is called top-down mixing, where you start with the overall picture and then your sub buses and then your individual tracks. And for me, this is a good starting point. I generally don't do more than 4 dB in compression on the mix bus. I don't want to smash it too much. And of course, like any other song, I'll adjust it accordingly and kind of remove it, see what it sounds like, and put it back on, and just kind of gauge if it's absolutely necessary, or should I go in and make it a little bit more aggressive. Depending on the record, make it a little bit more aggressive or make it a little bit less aggressive. And so it gives me a good starting point for the overall picture of my mix. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. This is a very useful plugin. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of the transparency. I like more of a color. But when I discovered this, that it can do this, it turned me on to the plugin. And as you are probably already know, Fabfilter make great plugins. I use a lot of their plugins. Excuse me, and this is one of them. And I want to show you why I use this and why it's useful. And maybe it could be useful for you too. So I want to know what your useful plugins are. Drop them down in the comment section below. And who knows, I may try it out and I may find it to be useful as well. I may start using it or add it to my template, but I want to know what you guys are using and what plugins you are using and why you deem it to be useful. And remember to drop a like if you like the video. And if you really like the video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you really, really, really like the video, go ahead and share it. Go ahead and share it, and let's grow together, and let's become better engineers. And until next time, and until we meet the next time, keep mixing.